Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, we accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class. It's Chaitanya Charitamrita class from Adi Lila, chapter 5, in text 94 through 98. We're very fortunate this morning to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
And it's all yours, Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Parama karuna pahudvijana nitai gaurachandra
Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra
Sabhavatar Sar Shiramani Kevalananda Kanda
Savavatara Sashirumani Kevala Ananda Kanda
Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudridha Vishvasa Kori
Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrila Vishwasa Gauri
Vishaya Charya Sirase Majya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari
Vishaya Chariya Sirase Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari
Dekha Ore Bhai Tribhuvane Nai Emona Doyala Data
Eko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emonado Yala Data
Pashupaki Jure Pashana Vidare Shuni Jar Gunagata
Pashupaki Jire Pashana Hidare Suni Janra Gunagata
Samshare Majia Rohili Podia Shepode Nahilo Asha
Samsare Majiya Ruhili Puria Separe Nahilo Asha
Apana Korama Bhunjaye Shamana Kahoye Lochandasa
Apana Karma Unjaye Shamana Kahuilu Chana Dasa
Parama Karuna Pahu Dvijana Nitai Gorachandra
Parama Karuna Pahuri Jana Nitai Gora Chanda
Shabhavata Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda
Shab Avatar Shashirmani Kevala Ananda Kanda
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai.
Jai.
Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jamuna Mai Ki Jai.
Jai.
Tulsi Devi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi Ki Jai.
Jai.
Shama Veta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari
All
Bol.
glory to Sri Guru.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading, studying, discussing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 5th chapter, 94th verse. Sarvanga Shundar Prabhu. Would you be kind to read the Bengali, or are you in a place where you can't do that? We'll see.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Teita Purusha Ananta Brahmanda Srijaya Sabande Praveshila Bahumurti Hana. Right.
After,
Translation.
yeah, okay, you can read the translation if you like, sure.
After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in a separate form as Sri Garbhodakshai. भीतरे प्रवेशी देखे सब अंधकार रहिते नाही स्थान करिल विचार. Entering the universe, he found only darkness, with no place in which to reside. Thus, he began to consider. निजांग स्वेद जल करिल सृजन सेहि जले करिल अर्ध ब्रह्मांड भरण. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body, and with that water filled half the universe. ब्रह्मांड प्रमाण पंचाशत कोटि योजन आयाम विस्तार द्विहय एक सम. The universe measures 500 million yojanas. Its length and breadth are one and the same. Jale bhari ardha. Sorry, go ahead, Prabhu.
That's okay, go ahead.
जले भरे अर्ध तान्हा कैल निज वास आर अर्धे कैल चौड़ा Bhuvana Prakasha. After filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds in the outer half.
Okay, other half.
Hmm.
Purport. The 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter. The upper planetary systems are 1. Bhu, 2. Bhuvar, 3. Svar, 4. Mahar, 5. Janas, 6. Tapas, and 7. Satya. The 7 lower planetary systems are Tal, Atal, Vital, Nital, Talatal, Mahatal, and Sutal. The lower planets as a whole are called Patal. Among the upper planetary systems, Bhu, Bhuvar, and Svar constitute Svargaloka, and the rest are called Martya. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. Om Jnana Timidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam sthapitam jena bhutale Shayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I would like to ask the permission and blessings of all the devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This chapter is about the glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And this section we're describing, the Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is describing, and we're hearing and trying to understand about the position of Lord Balaram, Nityananda Balaram, in relation to the creation of the material universes. The Vedic aphorism, as mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Ekal Ishwar Krishna Ar Shabritta. There's one Ishwar, Supreme Controller, and everybody else, including Nityananda Balaram, Narayan, Karanadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu, the demigods, and us. We're all his servants. So even the Vishnu forms, beginning with Lord Nityananda Balaram and proceeding through the different expansions, direct expansions, Svangsa, and separated expansions, Vibhadangsha, all, without exception, by their nature, are servants of Krishna. That's also confirmed by Lord Brahma in his initial verse of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There are many Ishwaras, via by city, household, country, planet, universe. But of all those Ishwaras, there's a supreme Ishwara, and that's Lord Krishna. And he's got an eternal, blissful, and spiritual body. He's a person. Creation takes place from a person, not an imperson. Adir Govinda. He's the original. He has no origin. Sarvakar and Akaranam. And is the cause of all causes. So this description here of Karanodakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, they're described as plenary expansions of Nityananda Balaram, who is an expansion of Lord Krishna. You know the word plenary, I don't know, you know the definition of the word plenary? I had to look it up one time. It's not such a common word in the English language. You know the definition, anybody?
I've seen you described as like complete.
Yes, very good. I looked it up in the dictionary again before this class. Complete in every respect. And the words like plenty and replenish come from that word plenary. And usually nowadays they use the word plenary in terms of like a plenary assembly. All the people are there. It's complete. But in this case, Krishna's expansions being plenary means they're complete as him in all respects. We know the example is given in Brahma Samhita. If you take one candle, and from that candle you light another candle, and you can light unlimited numbers of candles, either from that one candle or from the second candle, and all the candles will have the same heat, light, candle power. Still, there's an original. So all those candles would be plenary, in a sense, plenary expansions of the first candle. Does that follow? Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Yeah.
about this. Go ahead. Somebody's going to
Yes,
say.
I disagree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Prabhu,
So,
can you explain that again? So, because I get the point where you're saying it's one candle to another candle. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the point of complete but replenished, like in using that candle as the analogy. If you can explain that again, Prabhu, please.
I'll try. So, yeah, I talked about the replenish and plenty because they're words that are coming from the word that Prabhupada often uses in describing these kinds of the Vishnu expansions or the Narayan expansions from Krishna as plenary expansions. Means they're full or complete in all respects. You know, they're not less personalities of Godhead. They're full personalities of Godhead in comparison to us, who are little tiny fragmental parts and parcels like a spark out of a flame. So he differentiates these kind of expansions like Karandadakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu as plenary because they differentiate from the tiny parts and parcels like the jivas like us. And the example of the candle is describing how Krishna, Govinda, is the original candle, and many candles can be lit from that original candle. And even that second candle can light other candles, but still there's an original candle, and that's Krishna. And all those candles might have equal light and heat giving properties as the original candle, but still they're still the original candle. Anyway, I don't know. Is there something more, an area of that that's not clear? I'm not. I don't know if I'm clarifying at all.
No, you are, Prabhu. Now it is slowly making sense. Because I've heard that analogy many times, but when you use the word plenary, then it got me a little bit.
Yeah, plenary. The
Yeah.
word plenary, all this. Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking about, this here we have Karunodak. We were just talking in these verses, Karunodakshaya Vishnu and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Karana means cause, And udaka means ocean. So that's the preface of the causal ocean, karun udaka, and shayi means one who's lying on the causal ocean, that Vishnu. And garbhodak, the garbhudak, that's the Garbha ocean, and who's lying on the causal ocean, that ocean, that's garbhodak shayi. So just as Karunadakshayi, or also another name for Karunadakshayi, is Mahavishnu, from his pores, all the many millions and billions of universes are coming out of the pores of his body, transcendental body. And then in each of those universes, it's described in, we were read the first verse was described there, egg-like. They're shaped somewhat like eggs, although they're equal in length and breadth. And eggs in the sense that there's a covering, a shell to each one of them. It's relatively oval or roundish shaped. And inside there's something else, emptiness, at least at first when Garbhodakshayi Vishnu enters. And why is he called Garbhodakshayi Vishnu? Just like for the incubation of a child, the semen of the man goes into the womb of the woman, and then the child is in the womb there and creates gradually the offspring develops within the womb of the mother after so many months. And another word for womb is garbha. You follow? So similarly, he's called Garbho Dakshayi Vishnu because Mahavishnu expands into the egg-like universe, which is like the womb of a mother, and there all the living entities are developed by the arrangement of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, he's Garbh Udaka Ashayi, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And just as from the pores of Mahavishnu, the universes are coming, so you may think, wow, those pores are pretty fantastic. Similarly, from the pores of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, water, the perspiration comes and fills up the universe halfway full. Those are some pretty powerful pores, would you say?
Yeah.
So the different kinds of pores than the pores of Mahavishnu. But so this is a difference between the living entity and God. We'll perspire and maybe get like a, if you're really heavy perspire, you might perspire for like what, an eighth of a cup or something like that. But God perspires and the ocean is created. That's his potency, his quality. We're very small, he's very great. So I was trying to understand a little bit more about this creation of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. And I was thinking about how in my own consciousness, my own way of believing and thinking and understanding, I have vestiges or little lingering doubts in my mind about the greatness of God. So therefore, I like to think, I get especially, I'm interested especially in things where I can, the potency of God is demonstrated very clearly, or the potency of the accuracy of spiritual life, the idea, the existence of the soul being eternal beyond the body, whatever evidence there is of that, it encourages me to think and to understand and to appreciate these things. So, for example, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he, right off the bat, his beginning teaching to Arjuna, as you know, after Arjuna laments and is ready to give up the fight, Lord Krishna says, hey, don't be, you're talking like a fool, learned fool. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be, as the embodied soul passes in this body from childhood to youth to old age. Similarly, the soul passes into another body at death. And that's, I mean, there's no greater authority than Krishna. He's saying it, he's telling us. And if you hear from a great authority, then you should accept. I should accept. Still, because I tend to have, I don't know if you're like me, but I tend to sometimes have lingering doubts, even though Krishna is explaining, hey, we're going through reincarnation even in this body. So when I hear or when I read explanations about how some people, they go through a near-death experience and they are conscious outside their body, and they see their body there, perhaps on the operating table, and they can describe everything that's going on, even though from a material standpoint, they're clinically dead. That gives me a special, I like that. Or when some people investigate children who have spontaneous memories of previous lives, I and you know, they check to see, they make detailed investigations and see how they could have certain kinds of memories when they were living in a different family far away from the person they supposedly were in their previous life. So those things excite me, even though Srila Prabhupada actually never cited these things. He just accepted the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's authoritative words as the most important evidence for the existence of the soul. So in a similar way, I'm thinking about the way that Krishna expands himself into many different incarnations, expansions, like we're hearing about Karandadakshay Vishnu and Garbhadakshay Vishnu. And in self-examining myself, I find just a little bit of skepticism, if that makes sense. I don't know if you're following me. A little bit of, I'm not sure about this. How is this, because of course, within our experience, we like to have expansions. People like expansions either in the form of, children or, uh, you know, employees or pets or but in those kind of expansions, there's quite a bit of there's endeavor to go on, and there's a process by which it happens. It doesn't happen so apparently effortlessly. So I know that kind of even it could be considered a little bit of enviousness on my part, because Krishna can do things so effortlessly, and in order for us to have expansions, and they're not plenary expansions by any means, we have to go through such endeavor. So I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking that even in the one-celled animals, like amoebas or paramecium, those of you who have studied a little biology, they go through a process called mitosis. You remember about mitosis? You learned maybe in freshman biology class in high school. Anybody?
Prabhu, as you were speaking the word, I am remembering, but I forgot the knowledge of it. I have to confess.
Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. This is just, I'm trying to see myself where I have some kind of doubts or not really doubt, but they're just lingering kind of skepticisms in my mind about the glories of God. And so then so what happens is these one cell animals, or amoebas or whatever you call them, they call it asexual reproduction. That's mitosis. And in the cell, there's a nucleus. And the nucleus, according to modern science, is DNA in it and RNA. And then at a certain point, for what's not understood very well, all of a sudden the chromosomes in the cell duplicate into exactly the same chromosomes, another pair of chromosomes. And then over a short period of time, all the other organelles, parts of the cell, they also replicate or duplicate. And then a cell wall forms between the two parts. And then from that one cell, you've got two cells. Do you follow? So they replicate or duplicate or create an expansion. This is going on even at the level of the simple one-celled animals. How does it happen? Well, it's wonderful. It's amazing. So then, of course, Krishna, if even one-celled animals can do it, of course, their potency, those one-celled animals aren't going to create a universe or aren't going to sweat an ocean, but they certainly have the ability to replicate themselves identically, and the genetic composition of the created cell is identical with the first cell. So I don't know if you're following me in this, where this leads to. Do you follow this at all?
Yes,
Maybe not.
Prabhu. Actually, as you are speaking about, the amoeba, protozoa, paramecium, and how it's breaking up, it is really, I never thought of it the way you're thinking, that it's the expansion. But yes, I am following. It's really amazing, Prabhu. It's really out of this world.
So Krishna is expanding in so many different ways, and a one-celled animal, or whatever you call it, a one-celled entity is expanding to two. Then after a short time, it's 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. And after a short time, you got hundreds and hundreds of little amoebas. So if that's possible, even for a little tiny one-celled being, what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He can do that much better. He can fully expand himself many times, and he does. And that's what we're reading about here, about the expansions of God and their potency. And another point I was thinking about, how Krishna manifests these universes and creates life and stuff like that. That from in our material point of view, and from my material conceptions, if I have to create something, it takes me a lot of time to create it. I have to be careful about what I'm doing. If I like, say in the world you want to create a new kind of car. Well, then you have a whole department of people who plan and design and look at how they manufacture it, and it's a big effort. And then the result is just this little, one car or a few cars. Whereas Krishna, he can create millions of universes with practically no effort. You see this? It's, I'm jealous. I find myself being jealous, and that therefore, the material universes, he can do that. I can't do that. I can't even I have a hard time creating even to make a sabji or something. And I have to get the supplies from elsewhere. So Krishna is creating everything just by his will, whereas we have to make so much plans and design plans and have meetings and everything just to get some small thing done. That's reflected in the verse from the Svetara Upanishad. Parasya Shaktir Vividai Vashuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. Lord Krishna has Parasya Shakti, means lots of Shaktis. Vividaiva means various, and we hear that. And then Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. Just by his wish, he can create whatever he wishes is immediately done. That's pretty amazing. The whole universe is done just by he doesn't have to go through planning commissions or meetings or make a design, but he is so amazing that he can just it's done. And I was thinking about that there are 8 mystic opulences, and some of the mystic opulences by a yogi develops from performing mystic yoga. You know them? Go ahead. Yeah.
The mystic abilities, mystic potencies is what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if we, as little as we are, can even study that and be able to do it, how much more can the supreme
Yes.
originator of
Yes.
everything, what he can do? Yeah.
So some of the basic mystic potencies that even a jiva can have are anima, lagima, that they're become smaller than the smallest, become heavy, or be float in the air. Then there's prapti, you can get something from another place. Then there's be able to control other people's minds. And then you get another one, prakamya. Prakamya means magic. Magic. So, a person, even a jiva, can create something just poof like that out of magic. And we're not talking about, mundane magicians. We're talking about, actually creating poof, something. And then there's other mystic powers. Kama Vashayita. Kama Vashayita means a person can, an elevated yogi, can contradict the laws of nature and even create planets. For example, Kardama Muni, he went to have his wife happy. He created a traveling planet, which was traveling throughout the universe, which was amazing. But Lord Krishna, his creations are even more wonderful than that, without having to undergo any mystic yoga practice. Just from his just by his nature, he can do. So anyway, these are some thoughts I had. Then, anyway, questions or comments yet right now? That was kind of an introduction here.
Okay. To the devotees, if you have any questions, please unmute yourself. I'll start with one thing that Prabhu, you made a comment about, and I'm seeing that we started laughing about. Says, well, you mentioned a learned food. A learned food, and I said, well, yeah, it makes sense. But they seem to contradict each other. But if a person has learned all the wrong things and memorized all the wrong things, then he's become a fool, even though he's learned those things.
Yes. Thank you. There's an interesting story from the Panchatantra. I don't know if you've ever heard this one. It's translated "The Four Learned Fools." Have you heard this one?
No, I haven't. I'm all ears. Just like to look with it.
Anyway, I don't know if I remember all of it, but so the background is there are 4 brahmacharis in the Gurukul, and they decided they'd already got enough understanding. They're going to go out on their own now. So they hadn't really completed their training from the guru. So they're walking along and seeking their destiny. And all of a sudden, they see a funeral procession on the way to the cremation ground. And in the funeral procession, they're all very rich people, with opulent clothing. And they know that they've perhaps know that they're very rich. And so then one of them says, well, the proper way of religion is to follow the great souls. So they all get in line, following the great souls or the rich people on the way to the cremation ground. Do you follow? So then they get to the cremation ground, and the person, there's somebody who died is being cremated, and everybody's crying. So they cry also. And then a donkey comes up right next to them. And then one of the 4 learned fools says, oh, in a time of trouble, when the person who stands by you in a time of trouble, they're your best friend. So then they touch the feet of the donkey and they put a garland on the donkey and they give some worship. Like that, it goes on like that. You follow? Four
Yeah.
learned, yeah. So anyway, it's a parody on the Four Learned Fools. Yeah, it goes on. So then, other comments or questions so far?
Hmm. Well,
Prabhu,
thank you.
when you were
Actually,
speaking,
go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Prabhu, when you were speaking about Krishna's expansions, and then you're talking about the cells and the all that, and then you went into I know in ISKCON, at least in the old days, that was a joke among Matajis when someone would ask how many kids you would have, and they would say, "These are my expansions."
Yes, yes.
I remember, I remember that, Prabhu, so well. These are my expansions. That's how we would say it,
Good point. Good point. Yeah. So everybody, we like expenses. We want expenses, and Krishna can do it without any effort at all. He doesn't require. A partner to do it. He can just do it. Boom. Krishna, Balaram, Vasudev, Sankarsha, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarshan and Narayan, like that. So we're limited, very limited in our ways to make expansions, and it's a big deal. But Krishna can do it without any effort, just by his. And so he's greater than much greater and much more wonderful than us, than me, for sure. And sometimes we don't. We have to think about it carefully, like that. Anyway, so and then we're getting down to the details more of the creation. So there is a process, although for Krishna the process is very effortless. He doesn't have to sit in planning commissions or make a detailed design about it. He just manifests it. But here, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is there entering the universe, and then from his navel, a lotus flower sprouts, and it says within that lotus flower are the 14 worlds. Within the stem of that lotus flower, the 14 worlds. Wow. 7 upward planetary systems and 7 downward planetary systems. And then, did you catch how big the universe was according to this what we read?
Diameter is 4 billion.
Yeah. And so
They
this
give
says,
it in yojanas, but
yeah,
that's divided by 8.
500,000 yojanas times 8 would be 4
That's 4
billion.
billion. Mhm.
And how big do the modern scientists say the universe is?
I don't know. I've never found out what they
If
say.
you, I was looking it up yesterday, and they say it's more than 25 trillion. So their view is much, much, much bigger than the Vedic view. Although on one hand, the Vedas often their expansive understanding of time is much greater than the modern scientists. The size of the universe, according to the Vedas, is much smaller than their calculations. And I'll leave it to the Bhaktivedanta Institute people to explain some of the reasons for that. But there's, according to this purport that we read, there's 14 planetary systems up Bhuvasha. These are not planets themselves. These are planetary systems. Those systems means it's not just one planet. There's many planets in the system. So Earth is in the Bhulok planetary system, but it's not Bhulok itself. And then the next higher planet is Bhuvarloka, then Svargaloka. Those 3 planetary systems, Bhuvar, and Swar, are sometimes called the 3 worlds. But sometimes the whole kit and caboodle is called the 3 worlds because there's upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Does that make sense? Anyway, I hope so. It
Yes,
depends on
Yes,
depends
it
on the
does. I
context.
haven't talked about
Depends,
anything.
yeah, depends on the context we're talking about. So Bhubava Shwa, those are the most uh, close close planetary systems. And the moon is part of the Svarga Loka planetary systems. In the upper planetary systems, you hear about Ganda. Have you ever heard of Gandharva Loka, Siddha Loka, Charana Loka? Have you heard of those planets?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
And I used to wonder which part of the planetary system they're in.
Yeah, of
Svarga
these upward seven. Yeah. I don't know if whether, but they're somewhere in those upward seven, somewhere in those upward seven. Either the Svarga Bahar, something like that. I don't know if there's a place where there's a description of, oh, Karna Loka is in the Maharloka planetary system. I don't know that. But they are individual planets within the planetary, one of these planetary systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought they were in Swagaloka though. Planetary system.
It certainly could be. It certainly could be. I've never read that exactly, but it certainly, I haven't read everything. So certainly
Yeah.
that would be some, and these are what really relationship do have to us? Not that much. We know about angels in different
Yeah.
scriptures. But according to the Vedas, angels don't have wings.
Yeah, that's
So
always the imagination of people who draw wings things, and
yeah,
because they flew down.
yeah, sure, because they fly, they must have wings, right? Yeah. Birds have wings, so angels must have wings. Okay, yeah, yeah. So the seven upward planetary systems. And another planet, another planet that's in the upper planetary systems, or at least it's said there, is the Pitrilok. You know Pitrilok?
Mm,
The planet of the forefathers,
yeah.
because it's a planet where pious people dwell. And
Mm,
when Arjuna in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita was saying, well, we have to do the Shraddh ceremony. There's a ceremony that you do every year at the anniversary date, or there's a certain month you can do it on the anniversary date of a titi of that month to keep your departed relatives in Pitri so they don't have to come back down to the Earth planet. So it's considered Pitri is an upper planetary system, although
yeah.
the hellish planets are somewhere below. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitrin Yanti Pitrivrata, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Mad Bhaktim Yajinopimam. Somebody who worships the demigods, they go to the demigods. Somebody who worships the Pitris, the forefathers. How do you worship forefathers? By doing Shraddh ceremonies. You worship the forefathers, they go to the forefathers. But that's a material planet within these upper planetaries. And then there's these lower planetary systems, Tal, Atal, Vital, Nital, Talatal, Mahatal, Sutal. And there's slightly different uh, names given in other parts of the scriptures in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
Nital is not often there, and usually there's Rasatal and Patal. Rasatal and Patal are the
Mm-hmm.
in Srimad Bhagavatam are described as the feet. Patal is the feet, and the Rasatal is the ankles of the universal form of the Lord. And here Prabhupada says that the lower planets as a whole are called Patala. So, but anyway, it's not contradictory, just a little, people use different names sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
what is the nature of these lower planetary systems? Are they hellish planets?
No,
What is their nature?
the demons live there. Rakshas.
And what's the
And,
level? What's the level of material? The economic level there.
They are very
mm,
rich, Prabhu. More materialistic minded.
Yeah, they have great facilities, material facilities, but they're not at all. They're very much not Krishna conscious. They're against the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. And it's very interesting that in one of those planetary systems, at least one of them, uh, Krishna went
Yeah.
when his mother, after he rescued her from the prison house of Kamsa sometime later, and he went to the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni, and he rescued Sandipani Muni's son from the ocean. Then Mother Devaki said, "Could you get my sons back too?"
Yeah.
And could you get my sons back too? Because she had 6 sons who were murdered by Kamsa prior to the birth of Lord Krishna and Balaram. So Lord Krishna did. And where did he go?
Where Yamaraj was, and he's in the lower planets.
He went to the Sutala planet. He went to Sutala. Sutala.
Mm.
And Bali Maharaj.
Yeah, he's there.
Bali Maharaj, after he was bound up by the ropes arranged by Vamanadev when he couldn't fulfill his promise of 3 steps of land. He was bound up by the ropes of Vamanadev, and at that time he surrendered fully to the Supreme Personality of God. It said, "Put your 3rd step on my head." And after that, he gave wonderful prayers to Lord Vamanadev. And then you know who showed up?
No, I don't know.
Prahlad Maharaj showed up because Prahlad Maharaj was his grandfather. So this is very interesting that Prahlad Maharaj had association of at least 2 incarnations. He was there during the time of Lord Nrsingadev, and then also at the time of Vamanadev, and when his grandson had been captured and tied up. So Prahlad Maharaj came, and then Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, Lord Vamanadev said, "Why don't you?" He told Bali Maharaj, "Why don't you go to the planet called Sutala, and you can take over there, and that can be your place of residence." And Prahlad Maharaj went there, and there in Sutala, oh, no problem, no problem. And there at Sutala, Vamadev acts as a doorkeeper for Bali Maharaj. You've heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like Krishna is the charioteer of his devotee Arjuna, so in Sutala, Vamanadev is the doorkeeper for Bali Maharaj, and also Prahlad Maharaj apparently is there as well, his grandfather. There's a whole description in the 5th canto of what's there on these 7 lower planetary systems. And we could read that sometime, but I guess it's getting a little late here.
See. Thank you very much.
Okay, one thing to remember, regardless of all these different planetary systems that are wonderfully arranged and created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, including this Earth planet, whatever facility we have, whatever body we have, all of them are just temporary manifestations of the material energy, and we're entrapped in the body of this physical body. And our real position is not to be in a physical body at all. And we have a great opportunity in the human form of life to liberate ourselves from material consciousness and revive our spiritual connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by regularly vibrating his holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Lord Chaitanya has so kindly given us this practice, and the essential part of that practice is hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. Parama Karuna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaurachanda Shab Avatar Shar Shiramani Kevala Ananda Kanda. And it's an activity that's fun. Chanting the holy names in association with devotees. And if you get tired, take a little prasadam. This is fun. And by doing so, everybody, regardless of your planetary system, of your mentality, if you take up the situation of service to Krishna in this way, we can go back, home back to Godhead at the end of this life, or even before. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice lecture, detailed. We learned quite a few things. Devotees, if you have any last questions or some realizations that you'd like to share, please unmute yourself now and share. There's just a few minutes left.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance with progress of Prabhupada. Prabhu, I
Yes.
have a question, and it is the conclusion of your lecture, where we take the process seriously so that we can go back to Godhead. Hopefully, this, for Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. But when you're mentioning that, Prabhu, I was reminded of a quote that I saw of Jayapataka Swami on Facebook, where he said that we should be at least 70% Krishna consciousness to go back to Godhead. And I was just wondering, Prabhu, and I've heard, I think, a similar thing, if I'm not mistaken, that Shri Prabhupada said in New Vrindavan when they built the Palace of Gold, I believe. Someone was mentioning that pastime. I'm just wondering, Prabhu, how does one gauge that 70% being Krishna conscious?
Yeah, I don't know,
Okay.
but that statement has been made a few places in the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagav. That nashta prayeshu, almost purified. So that I would agree with Jayapataka Maharaj about that. That Krishna will, make that, if you make that progress to at least 70%, then Krishna is going to help you the rest of the way. So how do we know? Well, that there's certain signposts that can help us to see if we're making progress. One is that we actually like to associate with devotees. We like to hear Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We like to chant Hare Krishna, and we have less attraction for material involvement. The Bhaktir Parashana Viraktir Anyatya Shat. And Rupa Goswami says the symptom of progress is one becomes less and less attracted to material enjoyments. So, but I can't tell you if you're 70% yet, Mother Anasuya.
I know I'm definitely not, Prabhu. I was just thinking, geez, that's a pretty high benchmark. I'm thinking, okay, Krishna, what does that mean?
Yeah. So I mean, it's an internal thing, it's also an internal thing. I know that sometimes like I'll have a dream about being materially involved, and it's well, what is this? Oh my God! So I have to chant. That means I still have some material attraction, even though things happen in a dream. I got to chant more seriously. And there's a verses. I think even here, I think I spoke on this verse in Harrisburg. There was one verse about tapasya is required. Krishna, penance is required. Penance is required to become Krishna conscious. So, penance means voluntarily accepting some inconvenience for the satisfaction of Krishna. Penance, it's not sufficient, but it's required. Do you follow?
Yeah.
It's not just by penance that you get Krishna, but by bhakti you get Krishna. But part of that bhakti has to be willing to accept some hardships for Krishna, to do things a little differently, a little harder. So for me, that means I need to be willing and accepting some hardships in the course of my practice of devotional service, and to avoid them is going to be a sign of I'm not making progress, or I'm stuck in my progress. So I want to look for ways to be challenged. I want to look for ways to um, do more for Krishna and my spiritual master, even when it's inconvenient. Because sometimes it'll be inconvenient sometimes. Srila Prabhupada, in his example, it wasn't convenient for him to come to the United States, but it was the order of his spiritual master. So those are some ideas. I mean, I don't know if that's of any use, but some ideas.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Any final questions or comments? If not, we are at the top of the hour. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming in every time, giving us an enlivening discussion.
It's my pleasure to associate with the devotees in Harrisburg. Even if
Thank you.
I like to come on other classes with you Prabhus as well, as you know. Sometimes I went to St. Louis and Indianapolis the last week and a half, 2 weeks, did temple there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was a little
Wonderful.
off. All right.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, devotees, for coming on also. Vanchakapati
Chakapatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Prabhupada ki jai.
All right, thank you again.